Welcome inside another post-game edition of the Golden Blue Nation podcast. We're brought to you as always by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, your premier dental implant destination. Nick Farrell here inside the Golden Blue Nation digital studio. It is close to 3 a.m. Eastern Time, Saturday morning. We're here to bring you our reaction to West Virginia's 38-24 loss at the hands of the BYU Cougars out in Provo, Utah. First time that BYU tops West Virginia in what is a very young series that only dates back to 2016, the second meeting between the schools as members of the Big 12. It didn't go West Virginia's way. There may have been a few silver linings, maybe even a few missed opportunities in this one. So to break it all down, we welcome in Golden Blue Nation's Cody Nesper, our digital beat reporter, who is up way past his bedtime. Cody, I think before we jumped on to record this podcast, we were both sort of joking about this, but I think that there is at least a sliver of truth to it. This is one of those rare college football games where even the winning coach probably wasn't very happy. We just heard from Coach Rodriguez, and he definitely is not happy and is definitely frustrated, and we'll listen to his comments after. But BYU coach Kalani Sitake, not that much happier, I would say, even though his team came away victorious tonight.
Yeah, you're right. BYU really, after halftime, did not play a very good game. They were very sloppy in the second half. A lot of turnovers, a lot of just not what they showed in the first half. In the first half, they were explosive, they were tight, they were the far and away better team. In the second half, it was a much closer game, and you could kind of feel them take their foot off. They had a big lead, and you know, there were times when West Virginia looked like they would make them pay. It never got quite to that point, but you're right. Neither coach is going to be happy about this, and probably shouldn't be.
So let's dive into this one, Cody. Khalil Wilkins, West Virginia's freshman quarterback, getting the start in place of injured Nico Markiel and Jalen Henderson. But very early on in this game, the First Green Mortgage turning point occurred. It was when Wilkins, in the first quarter, threw an interception that was nearly returned for a touchdown. BYU cashed in on the very next play to lead the game 7-0, and then ultimately the Cougars scored 14 unanswered points in the first quarter. That set the tone for the game. The Cougars did play really good football in the first half to gain some space from the Mountaineers and create sort of an insurmountable deficit. By the way, the turning point is brought to you as always by First Green Mortgage. Your home is the heart of what we do. Visit them online at fgm.bank. Equal housing lender. But Cody, I kind of wonder, I want your reaction to Wilkins' first start. Yeah, he did play pretty much all of the second half against Utah, threw a touchdown pass to Cam Vaughn. Your thoughts on his first start? How did he represent himself?
You know, I thought he played quite well. The one interception obviously wasn't his fault. The later one, bobbled by Vaughn, it really should have been a long completion to set up, first and goal. I thought he was composed. That was a 65-something thousand fans in BYU, and they were really, really loud. It never looked like that got to him. The one drawback, I think you saw that young quarterback thing of he kept a lot of zone reads. He ran the ball a lot. That young quarterback thing of just trying to do too much. I think he ended up carrying the ball 23 times. That's not a great recipe for success, especially when two other quarterbacks are hurt so much that they're out, and the third one was a game time decision. But all in all, I thought it was a decent showing. Depending on how Henderson and Markiel can recover, you give Khalil a full week of practice here with the bye week. I think there might be something there. And again, to reiterate, doing it on the road in that environment, that was maybe the most impressive part. Putting all the stats aside, just being able to keep the operation in check. I think it was only 3 penalties in the whole game on West Virginia. In an environment like that, really impressive for a redshirt freshman.
Yeah, for sure, Cody. For Wilkins, 170 total yards. He was 7 of 15 passing for 81 yards. He did have 2 interceptions. You mentioned one that really wasn't his fault. 89 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. I understand your point about wanting to protect yourself, especially when West Virginia has already suffered so many injuries, not just at quarterback, but virtually every position on offense. But really the only way that West Virginia has had success running the football other than in the Pitt game with Ty Edwards popping off for 141 yards and 3 scores, has been the quarterback run game. It's something that Coach Rodriguez addressed after the game. We'll listen to that comment here in just a little bit. But I do think that there is some value in West Virginia's 2 mobile quarterbacks who played tonight, including Scotty Fox, who was in the game both early and late. That is, sort of how Coach Rodriguez's system works. And right now, it is the only thing in the run game that is working for WVU. So it might just kind of have to be that way moving forward. So if we're looking for silver linings in this game, I think Wilkins was one of them, as we discussed. Ty Edwards did return to the lineup, but he was very limited. Again, 2 carries for just 2 yards. West Virginia had 3 players on the roster who are listed as running backs carry the ball in this game. Clay Ash and Ty Edwards had 4 carries combined. Dior Hubbard did the bulk of the running with 17 touches for just 32 yards. So altogether, those 3 running backs combined for less than 2 yards per carry on average, which isn't going to get it done in Coach Rodriguez's system or any system, really. But then if you flip it to the other side of the ball, Cody, defense did play really well. Yeah, gave up 38 points, and that was quite enough for BYU to win the game. But forced freshman quarterback Bear Bachmeier to throw his first interception of the season, and also forced and recovered 2 fumbles. BYU came into this game undefeated, 4-0, having not turned it over a single time this season, I believe, and then had 3 turnovers in one night against West Virginia's defense. So maybe a little bit of a return to form after 2 subpar performances by the West Virginia D. Yeah, still gave up a fair bit of points, but a little bit more disruptive than against Kansas and Utah.
It was a bit of a mixed bag because you got those disruptive plays for the turnovers, and we kind of saw, we get a glimpse of how this team is supposed to work, where defense can set you up in field position and you go right down and score touchdowns. The other side was only forced 1 punt, and it was way late in the fourth quarter, especially in the first half. BYU was kind of doing whatever it wanted. Bachmeier had, I think, 4 long pass completions on the first play of the game even. So really a mixed bag of stuff of, yes, you got the turnovers, but, in between those, it was a lot of big plays and it was touchdowns. And they've forced 1 punt in the last 2 games. Like that's just not getting it done, right? Like the turnovers are nice. You got to get stops though. You got to force, something. Even going back to Kansas, they've really been losing the field position battle for the last 3 weeks, and it's because of that, because you're not forcing punts, so you're taking kickoffs, touchbacks up to the 25, and we saw, when they get short fields on the 2 fumbles, like they can score. They can go the 20 yards to score, but it's going to 75, it's going to 80, where they've really struggled this year.
Yeah, so going back to your point about big plays, that were really in the passing game, right? BYU had 6 passing plays of 15-plus yards, but 1, 2, 3 of them are for 47 or more yards, including one 85-yard pass in the second quarter, about midway through the quarter there. So, West Virginia's secondary got torched on a couple of those for sure. Also, one last note, if you're looking for silver linings in this one, final 2 minutes, Scotty Fox gets into the game. At quarterback, he hits Cam Vaughn for a 29-yard touchdown pass. So again, still a lot of room for growth for these 2 freshman quarterbacks, Wilkins and Fox, but at least somewhat representing themselves well in a really challenging environment out there at BYU. Cody, I do just want to quickly mention this. So, okay, we've just underscored a couple of key points. West Virginia's running backs and the run game, aside from the QB run, wasn't very effective tonight. West Virginia's secondary on defense got beat bad on a handful of occasions. And yet still somehow this game felt winnable. I'm not saying that West Virginia was in position to win the game, but BYU did not play well in the second half either. And there were some opportunities for WVU to at least make a game out of this. Cam Vaughn, for example, the drop that turns into an interception on the doorstep. I know West Virginia gets it back 3 plays later and then scores. But there just seemed like there were opportunities for West Virginia to really make this a game, and it just didn't happen. And I think that summarizes where this team is right now. If this team, after the open week, is able to take that step forward and turn games like this into winnable games where they do win, or at least keep it close, one possession game, I think that is the next step for this team that's struggling and dealing with injuries and dealing with youth and inexperience in Coach Rodriguez's system.
Right, and they got down, I think it was the 4-yard line in the second half and couldn't punch it in on 4th down. So even if they convert there, I mean, the second half looks really good if they score that touchdown and get the late one to Vaughn. So really, if you can compartmentalize this second half, even though BYU didn't play great, they did some really nice things on both sides of the ball. If you can take that into this bye week, really work on what works and kind of push aside what hasn't worked, really focus on that and take that, into UCF, that's not so bad. It's the stuff in the first half, the really non-competitive defensive plays, like that can't happen. And it's happened for now kind of 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, great point, Cody. And your point, too, about that drive that stalled in goal line territory. West Virginia, after an offside penalty, had the ball inside the BYU 1-yard line on a 4th down and couldn't punch it in. So that's something that Coach Rodriguez lamented as well after the game. Definitely a very frustrated head coach of a team that's now dropped 3 consecutive games to open Big 12 play. We'll hear from the head coach after we take a short break here on the Golden Blue Nation podcast. We're brought to you as always by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, your premier dental implant destination.
The reason I came to the practice was because I had had some teeth extracted and I wanted to get some replacements for it. We did a treatment plan to see how many implants they were going to place, and now I'm actually just waiting to get the crowns. The thing I liked the most about coming here, I was greeted with a smile, everything ran smooth, and that they were really going to do what I wanted them to do to make my smile a little better. They're some of the best doctors, and you will get good quality care.
Searching for a mortgage lender that's 100% local, personal, and focused on home loans? First Green Mortgage has been serving West Virginia for more than 35 years, and they can assist you with every step of your home ownership journey. Visit them in Bridgeport or Morgantown or at fgm.bank.
Questions?
Will Wilkins give us an eval of how you thought he performed in his first start?
Played hard. He was a freshman in that environment. I thought he was into the game. I think he'd like to have a lot of plays back, but I also think he competed his tail off. So I think Scotty did too when he got in there. We got to get some help. I mean, hell, if you can't score from the 1-inch line, it's ridiculous. Get shoved around on offense and get shoved around on defense. It's not good. We got to get better at that.
Big plays on defense, giving those up. I mean, you saw.
Oh yeah, I mean, hell, you can't make a play on the ball in the air. I mean, all those long pass plays, they did whatever they wanted. I don't know how many first downs they had, but, I mean, it was just, I mean, we don't make them punt. How many times did they punt it all once? Yeah. Don't make the other team punt, you're probably going to lose. 2 games in a row.
Any silver linings offensively? You seem like you blocked a little bit better. Anything you can take?
I don't know if we blocked any better. I think quarterback. We had to have quarterback run game to run anything. So I'm not sure we blocked any better. But yeah, no. The 2 young quarterbacks, they're freshmen. So I think in that environment, I thought they acquitted themselves okay. And Scotty made some nice throws, made a nice run. Khalil made some nice runs. He probably had a few things he'd like to come back. But, shoot, that was a tough environment to get your first start in. And the guy that wasn't able to practice all the way up until August because of his injury in the spring. So, proud of those 2 guys.
You mentioned the environment a few times now.
Yeah, they got a great environment. They do. I hadn't been here for a game. I've heard about it. And, they're kind of like our student section. Our students get into it, and theirs do too. when we were backed up a little bit back in there, it was hard to hear a couple of times. But, they did a nice job with that whole atmosphere.
How limited were you offensive play calling wise because you had such young quarterbacks?
Well, that was a little bit to that, but also we can't pass protect long enough. If you do call drop back pass and can't get open versus press man sometimes we can. So we got to try to create some ways for those guys to have some success. And we're not going to be good enough to have, like, I don't want to say you have to be perfect, but with your assignments and stuff, but you got to be pretty close on mark. And the hard part is when everybody's going to play different fronts and change things up a little bit, and we can't overcome a lot of negative yardage plays, if that makes sense. So that was a part of it that killed some drives.
What were your thoughts on Bear Blockmeyer and his performance?
Oh yeah, man, we made it look like the Heisman win in the first half. Hand him the Heisman. And he's a good player, tough, runs, everything we thought, and his accuracy on his deep balls was great. I mean, their guys made some nice plays, and we didn't, but yeah, I thought he was outstanding, really was.
Shai gets a couple of carries tonight, but obviously I know you'd like to get him in there.
Yeah, he's not 100%. Well, he should, but a couple of times he's a 225-pound guy, and you think but we got to help him a little bit too up front.
Scouting report-wise, anything really changed from what you guys expected once you guys got here and saw what they were doing?
On what side of the ball?
Either side of the ball.
Well, I don't know. I talked to our defensive coaches. I don't know if some of those early deep shots. I always expect to play action deep ball in the first play of the game is what's that happened. But defensively, they played a little more coverage earlier in the game, but pretty much is kind of what we saw, what we thought we'd see, and they did. They got a couple. I know Kalani was concerned afterward. I think a couple of his backers got hurt, maybe, but they're an athletic, a long athletic team. They got a couple of NFL linebackers, 17 and 16.
Any news on your injured quarterbacks, Nico or Jalen? Anything you want
No,
to talk about?
I ain't seen Nico. He ain't on campus yet. Jalen, we didn't travel because he could have went as an emergency quarterback, but he wasn't going to be ready to go. We got an open week, so we'll see if Jalen could come back in 2 weeks, and then I won't make a decision on who's starting until game time for the next game. We need open day. We're tired, we're beat up, mad, frustrated, all the above.
Do you
You
expect
mentioned a couple of weeks ago, the gap between your first team offensive line and second, some of the backups, and then last week thought that they had improved some. Anything to that there, or not really?
No, I mean we got some guys got some reps today, but I didn't notice anything different. But we're going to evaluate everything. I do every day. Every week, win or lose, we evaluate. Especially with open day, we're going to evaluate, see what we can do, coach better. We'll see how we can play better. And I told the team, or the guys in the locker room, is everybody doing everything they can to help us win? If they are, we still ain't winning, then I know how to fix it. It's not my first rodeo. I know how to fix it. Some of it's going to be fixed, after the season. But are we doing everything we can to win? Are we doing every person in the program? And that's, I'm not saying we're not, but I think there's another level we can get to.
With the open week coming up, do you have an idea of how you're going to balance rest, preparation?
I know exactly how I'm going to do it. I know exactly how I'm practicing. I know exactly how I'm meeting. Like I said, I've been around a little bit, and I know exactly what we need to do, and we'll do that.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Okay, that's head coach Rich Rodriguez following West Virginia's 38-24 loss at BYU. Mountaineers fall to 2-4 overall, 0-3 in Big 12 play as they head into their first open week of the season. And interesting comments there a moment ago from the head coach about his quarterback situation. Both Nico Marchiol and Jalen Henderson were ruled out early in the week for this game against BYU, and Markiel has now missed consecutive games for WVU, so it's looking very likely that coming out of this open week, it's going to either be Khalil Wilkins' job or Scotty Fox's job. The head coach saying he's not going to make a decision on that, though, until game time against UCF, which is coming up October 18th. Okay, here's Cody Nesper for a quick final thought. Cody, I promise we're wrapping this thing up, man, so that you can get to bed. And me too. So West Virginia still winless in Big 12 play, open week coming in, and man, with so many injuries, this team just continues to try to fight through adversity. And really, some people say, open week, it's come right on time, right? Well, maybe this one's a little bit overdue for a West Virginia team that's struggling on the field and with those injuries.
Yeah, certainly 6 weeks in is a strange time to have the first bye week. There's not a lot of teams that have played 6 games in 6 weeks. It is probably 2 weeks too late with how beat up, especially the offense is. But it's like I said earlier, this is the time. 6 games of sample size. You know what has worked, what hasn't worked. This is the time to really pare down some things. And get guys healthy. If you can get Ty Edwards healthy for the last half of the season, if you can get the offensive line a little bit healthier, maybe something happens. I'm not gonna sit here and say they're gonna make a bowl game or nothing, but you can play better. You can get some wins. You can get some excitement back in the fan base, and some of these young guys that have shown promise, maybe they can get 6, 7, 8 games of experience in this year, and hopefully take that into next year.
Yeah, certainly very important week for those players. Yeah, getting healthy is extremely important, as it would be for any open week, but this extra week of practice without specific game prep is going to be huge for guys like Wilkins and Scotty Fox and Dior Hubbard and Clay Ash, all of those guys who have had to become integral parts of the offense due to injuries and other situations. Very important week for them. And on the other side of the open week, West Virginia back on the road October 18th for a contest against UCF. Back home for the first time in a month, October 25th against TCU. All right, last thought here, Cody, before we wrap up the show. A Saturday without football in Morgantown. So what's on the agenda for Mr. Nesper this weekend with no football?
Well, Nick, you know what's up. Top 10 matchup at Dick DeLess Soccer Stadium. Am I right?
It was like I teed him up for that. Yeah, right. That is exactly what's up. Great weekend for college soccer here in Morgantown. WVU, number 8 in the country on the men's side, hosting Georgia Southern, number 6 in the country, for a huge Sun Belt Conference game. Really could shape the title race. Of course, the Mountaineers are the defending champions. Nicky Izzo Brown's squad playing really, really well, too. Coming off a 3-0 victory over Arizona Thursday. They get Arizona State Sunday at noon. Looking like the weather will be really nice here in town. Could be a great opportunity to watch some high-level college soccer. And, hey, while we're talking about the Olympic sports, have to shout out the volleyball team. Coach Jen Greeney's doing an incredible job with that volleyball squad, picking up the first-ranked win at home in program history, first-ranked win overall in about 5 seasons. Really exciting stuff for the volleyball team. And I guess one more thought, too. Rifle team begins its national title defense this weekend. So how about that? I know that, Cody, are you a big rifle guy?
I really enjoyed the national championship that was here a couple years ago. It was fun in person.
Yeah, it absolutely was a killer event. Very, very fun. Very, very fun. Mountaineers, always good in college rifle. Arguably the best program in the country, looking to stake to that claim again this year. All right, Cody, appreciate your time, man. Thanks for staying up late. For all of our loving fans who just adore Cody Nesper on the Golden Blue Nation podcast, here you go. You got what you needed. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, that's a wrap on this edition. We're brought to you as always by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, your premier dental implant destination. One more quick programming note for you. No Mountaineer game day next week because the football team is off. The Rich Rodriguez Show, though, will air Friday, October 10th and Saturday, October 11th on our partnered stations. Check your local TV listings for more details. And hey, if you're listening to this episode, remember that we're now available in video form at goldenbluenation.com, the free Golden Blue Nation app, the Golden Blue Nation YouTube channel, and on WBOI Plus. Yeah, that's right. Streaming channel. If you have a Fire Stick Roku, Apple TV. Check out WBOY Plus for more exclusive Golden Blue Nation programming. For Cody Nesper, I'm Nick Farrell, signing off. This has been the Golden Blue Nation podcast, and we're brought to you as always by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, home of the Same Day Smile.